is. And on the other side, TCU is going to have to deal with some three-point shooting. If you take out Kai's two-point shooting, this team shoots about 50% of their shots from beyond the arc. So it's a green light for everyone and something that TCU will not be familiar with.
And we'll have some experimental rules in which we're playing the NIT under. For example, the three-point shooting. As Sam Houston State makes about 9.5 per game, as Quad Noy testing the extended three-point line with a miss. And the Bearcats clear it. But the three-point line is the FIBA International three over 22 feet.
Yeah, and Coach Wooten for Sam Houston State likes to get into the teens with his made three-point shooting and feels like that gives him a chance.
That's a long two from Albert Amenza with the game's first points as Sam Houston State on the board first.
Yeah, and this team plays the new style of basketball as in Sam Houston State. The positionless basketball, as you see. Amenza, is he their sender? He makes the first three.
The Bearcats off and running and gliding in the layup by Chad Bowie, and a quick 4-0 start for Sam Houston State.
Well, if you're Coach Wooten, you got to like it early. You get out and have the first punch against a team like TCU, who has a lot to prove, given that they didn't get in the tournament.
Alex Robinson missing a three in the offensive rebound. Kevin Samuel inside gets the Horned Frogs on the board.
And that's an advantage that TCU has because of their length. Sam Houston State's going to have to do a great job tonight of boxing out multiple guys on the boards. The TCU doesn't get second chance opportunities.
Albert Amenza off with a three. And the rebound controlled by Quad Noy for TCU. But then Noy throws it into the front row. And TCU gives it right back to Sam Houston State. A couple of 20-win teams here going at it. Sam Houston State 21-11. They were the regular season champs in the Southland Conference, their 4th conference championship, but then were upended in the Southland semifinals by the University of New Orleans.
Yeah, and Coach Wooten talked about it in his press conference. In fact, he talked about defense being the reason they lost that. They just didn't live up to his standard, he believes. Offensively, he knows things will come. They really like to hang their hat on the defensive end of the floor.
UNO shot 53% from the floor in that game. And they went 6 of 11 from 3, while Sam Houston State shot only 38%. That's not a good recipe. Loose ball hustling Desmond Bain with a tip, but it's an over and back call, and it belongs to the Bearcats.
Yeah, and you mentioned that New Orleans game. Coach Wooten talked about it. He said, hey, we got in the 70s in terms of scoring, so we scored enough points to win. They got to 6. New Orleans 6 three-pointers made. He felt they were 1 or 2 short defensively, which was the difference in the game. But this guy, Coach Wooten, is extremely respected in his conference.
Already 3 turnovers for TCU in the ballgame. This is the first NIT appearance for Sam Houston State. Now, they've been in the postseason 5 of the last 6 years with the invitation this year to the NIT. But the previous 4 postseason appearances were in the CIT. Albert Amenza drives the baseline, and a foul committed by TCU.
Yeah, and sometimes people look at those postseason tournaments that aren't the NCAA tournament and say that they don't mean a lot, but Delaney, the conference player of the year for Sam Houston State, it was that tournament where he grew up last year. And they had some injuries, and it allowed him to gain the confidence he gained. They didn't expect it, but he catapulted himself into the starting lineup, and the rest of the story is history with him being the best player in the Southland Conference this year.
The number 2 in black, Cameron Delaney, the Southland Conference Player of the Year, as Kai Mitchell on the baseline for Sam Houston State. And they did win 2 games in the CIT last year before losing in the quarterfinals, rather the semifinals, to Northern Colorado up in Greeley. Alex Robinson from deep. And the rebound controlled by Kai Mitchell. Sam Houston State averages over 75 points per game. And they make close to 10 threes a game. And the rebound falls to J.D. Miller. TCU trying to get on track offensively as Alex Robinson all the way to the bucket.
Well, we see here early Alex Robinson getting to the basket, but he's taken, Robinson, 2 3-pointers, and that's playing right into Sam Houston State's hands. That's something they want to force him to have to do. He's not the greatest long ball shooter, and sometimes your defense is about forcing the opponent to take the shots you want.
Shot clock inside 10. Here's Josh Delaney, the twin brother of Cameron Delaney. And that's a forced three that's way off. And it's tipped out of bounds. Last touch by TCU, and it's a Sam Houston State ball.
And even though TCU has the size advantage, sometimes playing against smaller guys as well as playing against a system where you have the green light, whoever you are, to take threes. You know, Kai Mitchell, he's the only guy who doesn't really take threes. He's more of their internal anchor, if you will, to balance things out from a scoring perspective.
With the drive, Cameron Delaney, the Southland Conference Player of the Year, gets his first points. And this is not a deep team for TCU, considering the attrition they have suffered during the course of the season. And the Horned Frogs kind of limped in down the stretch, Lance. They lost 7 of their last 10 games to end the season coming into this NIT.
Yeah, they did, but they also finished strong. I mean, they went to Texas and beat Texas at Texas in a blowout. You know, and then won in the conference. I thought they deserved a look in the tournament.
Foul on Cameron Delaney. Sam Houston State, the early lead. First round of the NIT in Fort Worth. See Kansas State. We're among the first teams left out. That's why they're a #1 seed here in the NIT. And from an emotional standpoint, we'll see where they're at, where their head is. Trying to put that disappointment behind them, Lance. That focus on, okay, it's not the championship we necessarily set out to win this year, but we're still playing for a title.
Yeah, and I'm sure for Coach Dixon, I mean, it's a little bit of Groundhog Day in that they won this tournament and been through this process, as you just pointed out, a couple of years ago. In fact, I sat down with him today in the team, and I mean, this is a man, he's incredibly professional, but there is some pain with him feeling like they should have been able to be in this tournament in terms of the NCAA tournament.
A launch three from Josh Delaney. And the first three from behind the extended arc for either side. And an early 6-point lead for Sam Houston State.
Yeah, and that was a test or check their temperature there, meaning Sam Houston State in terms of the zone they were in. I don't know if you want to allow this team to get hot and play them in a zone, because they'll challenge you.
R.J. Nembhard in the perimeter with TCU, the shot clock winding down. Here's Alex Robinson, the all-time assist leader in Horned Frog history. Nembhard from deep. The offensive rebound. Leaning inside, J.D. Miller, who tonight became the all-time games played leader in TCU history, as Kevin Samuel to follow.
Yeah, with Samuel and Miller on the floor now, that's where the game has to be played for TCU. They have such a great advantage with their size, length, and strength around the basket.
And you mentioned the disappointment, Lance, that TCU is feeling. Cameron Delaney from downtown, and back-to-back threes by the Delaney brothers for Sam Houston State. But how does TCU put that disappointment behind them and focus on the game tonight?
Well, if you're a competitor and not literally a professional, and that these are amateur athletes, but a pro in your approach.
Tough shot, Kendrick Davis in one.
Boy, nice finish by Davis. And Davis does a great job with his ball handling and running the club with Robinson on the floor. They often will move Robinson to the off-guard position. Davis has a bright future here. He's just done a great job.
Foul on Chad Bowie of Sam Houston State is Kendrick Davis, the freshman from Houston. Oddly enough, went to Sam Houston High School.
And Davis was really special at Texas. And Robinson had some foul trouble. Just did a nice job of carrying the ball club in the first half. He and Bain.
Good crew working this game tonight. Jerry Pollard, Rod Dixon, and Darren George, our officiating crew. As Quat Noy gets his own miss, can't get it to go, and the rebound tipped out to Chad Bowie, and Sam Houston State controls.
Yeah, and Noy ebbs and flows with his play, particularly in the second half of this season. In fact, the 3 conference games he missed, they lost those games.
Wide open underneath in the lay-in for Kai Mitchell.
Well, here early, Sam Houston State looks like the more ready team. This is huge for them to be able to get this lead early and sustain it.
Kevin Samuel has 6 already for the Horned Frogs.
Well, you can tell right away the response, the counter to what Sam Houston State is doing will be TCU forcing the ball into the paint.
They have a significant size advantage. Long 3 from Josh Delaney, and the rebound, R.J. Nembhard. Redshirt freshman Nembhard brings it up.
Here it is again, Roxy. They're just going to pound that ball right down their throat.
Chad Bowie races away from the pack. Drop off to Kai Mitchell, and he tips it in the miss.
Right now, that play there is emblematic of what's happening in the game in general. Right now, Sam Houston State's just quicker to the ball, more responsive, if you will, and it's showing up in the score.
And a whistle over the back on Kevin Samuel, to foul on TCU.
Man, that's how you can gain advantage when you have a size disadvantage. Kai did a great job there boxing out Samuel. He's unable to get the ball. Samuel at the apex, so he's got to go over the back. So now you get not only a good player like Samuel with a foul on him, you get the ball.
In a depleted roster for TCU, essentially Jamie Dixon only has 7 guys, as 4 players have left during the course of the season. And the most notable, Jalen Fisher, who was playing tremendously, averaging 12 points per game. But he's one of 4 guys that has left his program during the course of Big 12 play.
Yeah, Fisher was one of the better players. And there's that length again coming up and showing its face. But Fisher, one of the better players in the conference. Losing him is a big deal for TCU.
And Sam Houston State, dollars in bribes to steer players toward a fledgling sports agency. According to a report on Monday in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, TCU asked Barker about the allegations and terminated his employment after the coach declined an interview on advice of counsel. Barker has not been charged with a crime, and Coach Jamie Dixon has declined to comment on the situation. But just 2 assistant coaches now for this TCU team. And a foul going to the basket is J.D. Miller will get to the line. It's on Albert Almanza of Sam Houston State.
Yeah, Roxy, there's no question that TCU has experienced its issues and challenges this year that they've had to overcome. And you know, I thought that was part of the story for them in terms of the way they finished. You're right, they wobbled a little bit to the end, but they had the big win at Texas, and then they did okay, I thought, in the tournament and had themselves in good shape, but they've certainly taken their lumps.
J.D. Miller, who tonight passes Brandon Parrish for the all-time games played leader in TCU history. As Jamie Dixon has looked toward Miller as a real staple of his program since he came here back to his alma mater.
Yeah, and whenever you're having challenges, you look for stability. And not that all of the challenges are negative. Kendrick Williams, who was here last year, he's become an NBA player. So they do have guys that are talented. It's just right now, they don't have a lot of them. As you mentioned, just 7 guys on the roster. That's virtually no bench.
Pull up. Josh Delaney with the bucket. Largest lead for Sam Houston State. Alex Robinson began his college career at Texas A&M and has gone on to become the all-time assist leader in TCU history. Kwatnoy going inside. First points for the Aussie.
Well, it looks like right now TCU is trying to counter with baskets that are around the bucket. And they've got to continue to get high percentage shots, but also not lose who they are as a basketball team.
Cameron Delaney, too strong, and Albert Almanza goes over the back of Alex Robertson. And the second on Almanza.
That was an incredible rebound. I mean, looking at that from floor level.
He got up.
I mean, yeah, he went up. And one of the things, you know, especially with my NBA influence is a lot of times you want to see where a guy gets the rebound. He got that one when the ball was at its apex of getting it from coming off the basket.
The only problem was after he landed on Robinson.
Yeah, he had a small guy under it.
TCU, who won their first round game of the Big 12 tournament over Oklahoma State, but they lost in the quarters, and they were actually up 12 on Kansas State. But an offensive foul on J.D. Miller.
Yeah, and that's on Nembhard. Young fella has got to be more patient. You got to allow the big to get up, get set before you go. Again, one of the troubles with younger guys, they get a little frenetic and impatient, and you can get yourselves in trouble, as we saw there with the foul.
The lob back door, trying to get it to R.J. Smith, and here comes TCU.
Yeah, and R.J. Smith, he's the high flyer for this ball club. He can also shoot threes, but they use him in his length and ability to jump around the basket.
Just about everybody can shoot threes for Sam Houston State.
You're right. That's a fair point.
Inside 10 to shoot. J.D. Miller underneath. And the senior from Dallas. Well, 25th in TCU history in scoring.
If I'm in Jamie's huddle, it looks like a mandate has been put on not being able to shoot threes. Everything that they're getting, last 3 buckets, has been around the basket.
How tough of an adjustment? You mentioned the threes. Lance, how tough of an adjustment is it to get used to the extended three-point line where it's 22 feet and 1 3/4 inches?
Well, I'm glad you raised that point through that question. I think it's a psychological thing, especially for the Sam Houston State ball club. They're used to taking deep threes anyway. But if your psychology is to be concerned about it, it can certainly affect your ability to shoot threes comfortably from beyond the arc.
Well, Quat Noy shot that one from Dallas, it looked like. He was way out there.
Yeah, and Sam Houston State, similar. None of these are near the three-point line. Again, unless you allow it to get in your head, I think it can, looking at this ball club, can just be a non-factor, or will be a non-factor.
The floater in the lane, and an offensive goaltend. And touch on the cylinder by Bubba Furlong, the sophomore from Waco, and it goes to TCU. Catch every moment of the 2019 National Invitation Tournament on the ESPN family of networks. For more information, visit NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. 4-point game. Winner will play the winner of Nebraska and Butler as TCU quickly up the floor. Desmond Bain, the first 3 for the Horned Frogs.
You don't want to let Bain get going. I mean, he can be a firecracker in terms of heating up.
41% outside the arc. Cameron Delaney from deep. That ends a 7-0 run by TCU.
And that was a heck of a play by Bryant, the freshman. He had an injury early, so these are big minutes for him, and he stops them from playing federal
championship.
Okay, well, Rox, I was going to go with Kim, the Geno Kim.
Okay.
I mean, because
Kim Mulkey from Baylor.
Kim Mulkey, what she's done with that program has been fairly and pretty impressive. And it's one thing to get to that level, but to sustain it.
You're a Big 12 guy. I get it. But UConn not a #1 seed?
Yeah. Okay. And does that mean you're an East Coast guy?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Hey, don't forget about the Conference of Champions now. J.D. Miller underneath, trying to power his way through, and Kai Mitchell clears, and Sam Houston State looking to run. Gliding in, the reverse. That was pretty from Zach Nuttall, the freshman.
Boy, Nuttall might be their best athlete. Look at him get back down floor and create a little havoc. I mean, that was the subtlety. It will not show up in the box score. Oh, my gosh.
Wild shot thrown up by Xavier Bryant.
Yeah, Xavier didn't have to go try to finish that, but Nuttall just made 3 incredibly impressive plays. Arguably one of the better athletes on the floor.
And a foul in the post and a hold on Kai Mitchell of Sam Houston State.
I think what TCU has to be careful of, again, is not getting outside of who they are. Certainly scoring around the basket should be easy for them, but you don't want to totally vacate what you can get done on the perimeter. I mean, Bain can shoot it. Noy can shoot it.
Desmond Bain missing from the corner, and the rebound controlled by R.J. Smith. And the Bearcats. Bearcats with a K, I might add. Not the traditional C. B-E-A-R-K-A-T-S. Corner 3. Way off from Xavier Bryant. Run down by Chad Bowie.
You've got to find bodies when they're shooting threes. They're going to be long rebounds.
And they reset the shot clock, and they shouldn't have, because the shot never hit the rim. And that's what they're determining, is how much time should be on the clock. But here is the school profile for Sam Houston State, located in Huntsville, Texas, about 3 hours away. And some of the notable alumni: Dan Rather, Josh McCown, Shea Serrano, Marcus Luttrell.
And it's right off of I-45.
And a steal from Kevin Samuel.
Like 45 minutes or so to an hour outside of Houston, depending on traffic.
Quatnoy. And the rebound, Kai Mitchell. TCU struggling from outside. They're just 1 of 9 from 3. Part of the experimental rules here for the NIT, the deeper three-point line, and also the wider key as they're playing the NBA lane, which is 4 feet wider than what the college players are used to. And the offensive end, the shot clock will reset to 20 after an offensive rebound instead of getting the full 30.
Yeah, and I think this is a prelude to what the NCAA is going to do in terms of changing.
And a timeout for Jamie Dixon. R.J. Smith, the putback. And it's Sam Houston State matching their largest lead as they're up.
From what occurred with TCU not getting in the tournament. I mean, and certainly there is a little bit of a target on TCU's back in that, you know, if they win this game, of course they're supposed to. Sam Houston State is not supposed to come in here and compete with TCU, let alone win the game.
Offensive foul on Kendrick Davis.
I mean, and to your point, with the extra effort and hustle, there you saw Bryant. Watch him get to the feet, moves the feet, shoulder right to the chest. That's just textbook defense.
It sold it a little bit.
Well, you got to sell it, of course. The official has to know that he hit him.
Zach Nuttall missing everything. Alex Robinson in transition. And a foul and a block will get Robinson to the line for the Horned Frog. Foul is on Zach Nuttall, his first.
And speaking of which, TCU only has 5 fast break points. Sam Houston State has just done an excellent job with their defensive floor balance, especially shooting as many long balls as they shoot and have shot this game.
TCU now only 2 for 6 from the line. As Robinson on the year, 65%, second team All Big 12, as well as an academic All Big 12 member. The Horned Frogs have gone scoreless for over 3 minutes now. TCU had it down to 1. And Sam Houston State has scored 7 straight until Robinson ends that run.
Well, an advantage to Sam Houston if they can keep TCU playing half-court basketball and keep from having any big offensive explosions here.
Bubba Furlong launches a 3, and a foul going for the rebound, and it's against the Bearcats, and they get R.J. Smith. 27-20, Sam Houston State. For TCU, this is their 8th appearance all-time in the NIT. As we talked about earlier, they won it in Jamie Dixon's first season in 2017. But the Horned Frogs are 7-0 all-time in the first round of this tournament. Kendrick Davis. And the Bearcats come away with it. Cameron Delaney. And the rebound tipped out to Kendrick Davis, who pushes. Transition three, the pretty stroke from Desmond Bain.
Well, that's huge. TCU being only 1 for 9. That being the second one from beyond the arc. That's the area where Sam Houston's been doing a great job with their floor balance and picking up people in transition. TCU is going to look to try to get a spark from that. So far, Sam Houston State has done an excellent job of counter-punching when TCU has come up with a big play.
Josh Delaney driving, had his pocket picked. Kendrick Davis pushes, Alex Robinson glides in, counted and won. And TCU putting a surge together.
Yeah, and it's because Sam Houston State didn't do their work early and stop the ball. You let these smalls get. State was doing a good job with their defensive floor balance. Really, as many threes as Sam Houston State has shot, they've only made 3 to TCU's 2, so they aren't really killing them in that area. They just can't allow TCU to get a rhythm, because if they can, this team, TCU, is extremely explosive with the athletes that they have.
The early lead for Sam Houston State as the Bearcats have led from the outset. The 8th seed against the 1 seed. Kai Mitchell loses the handle, picked up by Desmond Bain.
Yeah, and that's the other area right there. That's the 7th turnover in the last 8 minutes. Got to take care of the ball, particularly in tournament play when it's one and done.
As TCU gives it right back. Chad Bowie drops it off to Josh Delaney. Transition 3 and a foul over the back. It's the 2nd on R.J. Smith.
Because you have the green light doesn't mean you always have to go. And I'm certainly not on the sideline coaching this ball club, but you're up 1 with a team that's getting a little bit of a rhythm. I think I might want to run a little clock and get a better look at the basket.
Again, the NIT rules. This is the 5th team foul in this segment, which started with inside 10 minutes to go in the half. And every foul is a 2-shot foul, and Desmond Bain shooting 2. 89% for the line on the year. And we are tied, and TCU looking for their first lead. Here are the experimental rules. And again, the fouls get reset at the 10-minute segment, or the 10-minute mark of every half. But the longer 3-point line, the wider lane. And we're seeing every year just about them experiment in the NIT with some of these rules.
Well, change is hard and slow. And Roxy, this is something I want to talk about, these rules changes. I mean, it's one of the complaints I have about U.S. basketball that I think can improve it if you could get a little more consistent with the rules in terms of the different levels that.
Shot clock violation, a turnover on Sam Houston State.
You know, with the different levels that you play, different states have shot clocks and don't, different 3-point lines. College has a different one, pros has a different one.
Well, look at the men's game as opposed to the women's game in college. 2 20-minute halves in the men's game as opposed to the women, who have gone to 4 quarters of 10 minutes each.
Yeah, and you see the lines. I mean, it's in some ways it's a little bit of a different game when you change those rules.
So do you like the longer 3-point line for the college game, or would you keep it where it's at?
I like the longer one because I really don't think it impacts the distance that guys really shoot from anyway. Except, I'm going to contradict myself, except from the corner. The corner is the easiest and the shortest distance.
They're going to count that as a 3 for now. They will review it to see if that is indeed a 3 or a 2 at their next timeout. Alex Robinson missing a three. And a whistle. And we're going with Sam Houston State. And here's what they're going to review to see if this was indeed a three by Cameron Delaney.
Well, I can't, that angle, I can't tell. Could you see that?
I think it's a clear three.
Okay, well.
I think he's well behind the line.
Well, oh, yes, he's clearly behind the line. You're right.
So that will be a three, and Delaney, Cameron Delaney, leads all scorers in the game with 11.
And Kai here, he's the offensive anchor. You see, they put him in the middle of the floor. He's
really good passer for a big man.
Yeah, they run a lot of offense right through him.
J.D. Miller the follow. 1 point game.
That's why TCU's back in this game. This picking up of the pace and the runouts is what allowed them to get a rhythm and crawl right back into this game.
And a whistle. It's Josh Delaney fouled on the drive. And they reach in against Kendrick Davis of TCU. His second. Just the second team foul in this 10-minute segment against TCU. Just over a minute left in the half. Right now, the scoreboard in here shows 29 all, but ours says 30-29. Ours is right, because we counted the three that Cameron Delaney hit, and the scoreboard here, part of, I guess, the home court advantage, hasn't given him three just yet. R.J. Nembhard drives and one. Strong move by the freshman.
Yeah. Sam Houston State paying for the turnover, and again, live ball turnovers are so dangerous because they allow the team to transition from defense right back into offense. If you're going to foul there, you want to make sure shooter does not get the ball above his head. And you give up an and one. So those last two possessions, both offense and defense, are how not to play the game. Sam Houston State's perspective.
First lead of the night for TCU as Nembhard comes up empty from the line. And a timeout for Sam Houston State here with 47.7 left in the half. 1 point gets a Division I program, and 5 of them have come under Jason Hoot, including 5 of the last 6 seasons. And this was a team that was picked to come in 6th in their league this year, and they won it by going 16-2.
Yeah, and talking to Coach Hoot, I mean, part of his disappointment is he thought he had this team right where it needed to be in terms of seniors, experience, ability to shoot the ball, confidence, comfort that when they win the conference and then unable to deliver in the conference tournament.
And they've been without a key member as Marcus Harris has not played yet tonight. The senior from San Antonio, the transfer from San Diego, is their best perimeter defender, one of the veteran players that Jason Hooten really looks to. And he was banged up and really couldn't help all that much against New Orleans and the Privateers in the Southland tournament. That'll be a shot clock violation, and TCU will have a chance for the last shot of the half. But not having Marcus Harris tonight is a big loss for them.
Yeah, and you could see it on his face in talking to him, how much he needed Harris just because of his ability to defend. And again, that's a place that Sam Houston State hangs its hat as much as they like to shoot the three ball. Defense, they believe, is what wins them games.
Marcus Harris always takes that prime assignment to shut down the top wing on the other team. 5 seconds left in the half. Desmond Bain for 3. And a terrific end of the first half for TCU. Bain with 10 to lead the Horned Frogs. And a big 3 to give them momentum heading into the locker room. TCU closes the first half. State with 11. Desmond Bain leads TCU with 10. Sam Houston State led by as many as 8 in the first half.
One of the contributors to those turnovers, there you see how Robinson's on the high side. They down what they call downing or bluing those guards and not allowing them to come off the screen to free themselves up and get a clean look. It's working to TCU's advantage thus far defensively.
Kai Mitchell from the high post. 8 for Mitchell, the junior. The Southland Conference Newcomer of the Year.
And Mitchell's their big fella. He is their internal or inside anchor. He's not very big in terms of length, but he is very strong, and they use him as a post player.
Cameron Delaney goes inside, and the rebound controlled by Desmond Bain. Here come the Horned Frogs.
Yeah, Delaney went in there to get fouled versus going in and trying to finish, and it backfired on him. See, he's still complaining with the refs. Young fella, you've got to play basketball. You go to the basket, go look to finish versus trying to get fouled.
J.D. Miller in the lane. Going with the offhand. Nice move from J.D. Miller.
Yeah, and I thought Sam Houston State really allowed TCU to go where they wanted with the ball through dribbling or passing. Didn't take away anything on the defensive end on that possession.
And a turnover as Kai Mitchell threw it away. J.D. Miller leads the break. And the big man running the floor. Miller, the follow-up that missed from Kevin Samuel.
Yeah, it's the story of the game. Okay, so you turn the ball over, you compound those mistakes when you don't stop the ball and pick up bodies. As TCU is coming at you in waves in transition, especially when they get these live ball turnovers.
And another turnover.
And live ball. Look, they're already into their offense, and here's another wave.
Kwatnoy, offensive foul. As Cameron Delaney draws the charge. And it's the first on Kwatnoy.
Noy is just 1 for 8. He's just latter part of the season. And talking to Coach Dixon, potential injuries or the like is really giving Noy a lot of problems. He's not been able to find his rhythm at all, and typically TCU has struggled either when he's not on the floor or hasn't played well, but other guys have been stepping up of late.
And he had a string of 26 consecutive games of the May 3 that came to an end there in the early part of March, and that's when his struggles kind of popped into his game.
Yeah, and did you speak of March? I mean, it's kind of the opposite in terms of what you want. You want players and teams to get better as the season gets closer to a close.
Kevin Samuel for TCU. He has 8 points.
Yeah, and right now, Sam Houston State is in that area of the game where are you going to fold or are you going to respond to this 8-point lead that TCU has jumped out with. Sam Houston better get a game plan, reignite the energy and sustain that level of excitement. That team that won was coming behind a team that really struggled. Jamie was back home. It was fresh. Well, how do you keep guys excited about doing it again?
My experience, Lance, being around this tournament and just dealing with teams who've gone through this, as Kai Mitchell rejected at the rim by Kevin Samuel, is once you get a taste of it, you find a way to win your first game, and then that hunger is there, and all of a sudden that carrot that's looming is the trip to New York.
Yeah, and winning has to account for something. Yeah, getting to New York, being in the Final Four, if you will, of the NIT. But if you're a winner, you want to win, regardless of who you're playing or the circumstances.
And it's sometimes that light goes on in the middle of the first game, and it appears that light has gone on for TCU as that assist for Alex Robinson, a new single-season assist record for the TCU point guard.
And Robinson talks a lot about the impact of his mom, Darla, and how she was a point guard. In fact, she said he plays very similar to the way she played. Again, he's not the greatest three-point shooter, but he can drop the ball on a dime wherever it needs to be in terms of running the offense.
Desmond Bain wave it off. His second foul called for the charge. So Alex Robinson, a new single season. What a remarkable career he's had, and considering, Lance, he's done it in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, he started at Texas A&M and transferred and found a home. I mean, there's so many different skill sets, Roxy, that impact winning basketball. It's no secret that passing the ball is a critical skill set. And a lot of guys have gone on to do some great things at the next level because they can deliver that basketball.
Kai Mitchell having trouble with the TCU size inside. Claude Noy over to Desmond Bain. And the long rebound. Chad Bowie has it for Sam Houston State. Transition three. Albert Almanza for Sam Houston State.
Well, that might be just the medicine that Sam Houston State needs. They were struggling there with a little mini drought, questioning whether they were going to fold or not.
Desmond Bain on the offensive glass. Gonna put your NBA GM hat on. You've been in that position, Lance. When you watch Desmond Bain as Kai Mitchell with a shot, what do you see with his game, and can it translate to the next level?
Well, I see a guy that can get hot. He obviously is very athletic and can shoot the ball well. To do it at the next level, he's going to have to be a little more consistent. We talked about his huge game he had at Texas, and he single-handedly won the game. And then
34 against the Longhorns.
Correct. And then he disappears for moments where you may not even know that he's on the floor in the game, and then he reappears with big plays. So he's got to be able to sustain a certain level to do it on a consistent basis. Noy would be another example of that. If you're not an everyday guy, then you're going to be playing in the G League or potentially overseas.
And Desmond Bain, the junior second team, all Big 12. And Bain already 18th in TCU history in scoring. Horned Frogs up 7. Sam Houston State led by as many as 8 in the first half. It's a long 2 on the way and rattles in for R.J. Nembhard.
And right now, TCU is in a mode where they're pulling out the full arsenal. They're controlling the boards, rebounding the ball, scoring from beyond the arc, scoring from the mid-range. Right now, Sam Houston State just looks like a team that's outmanned.
And a foul. And that'll get Kai Mitchell to the line, and it's called on Kevin Samuels. Rather, Claude Noy called for the foul, his second.
Yeah, and Noy was helping out, or he might have been double teaming, but either way, it was an extremely poor double, poor defense. Didn't move his feet, just slapped at the ball. Kind of emblematic of the way that Noy's been playing of late.
First free throw attempts for Sam Houston State tonight. And the junior, the newcomer of the year in the Southland Conference, Kai Mitchell, 70%. And Sam Houston State, a tremendous foul shooting team.
And part of the reason that's the first free throw is because TCU has done a great job, again, with their downing and not allowing the ball handlers to come off the screens, shrinking the floor in terms of help side, taking away all the driving lanes for the offensive players. So Sam Houston State has really had to rely on jump shots to get back into this game.
Alex Robinson, 3. Largest lead of the night for TCU.
Yeah, it's scary when he starts knocking those down. He shoots at about 32% from beyond the arc, so doesn't kill you from there. But if he starts making shots, it can turn into a long night really quickly.
Here comes Robinson, leads the break. Nice pass, and J.D. Miller will head to the line, but what a find by Alex Robinson.
Yeah, he just threw a beautiful pocket pass, and the defense was late rotating, helping the helper on the screen.
Third on Albert Almanza.
Kai just jumped out and he dropped it perfectly. And again, you talk about all the assists and the fact that Miller didn't have to do much other than roll to the basket. I mean, that's just a beautiful skill set, especially for a big, when you've got a guy that can put the ball right where you want it.
TCU only 5 for 12 from the line. Miller gets 1 out of 2, and he has 10 points. And a 12-point game in favor of the Horned Frogs. Again, the winner will play the winner of Nebraska Butler in round 2 of the NIT.
And TCU has slowly extended this lead. And Coach Hooten, as competitive as he is, I don't see him allowing his guys not to compete all the way through the tape.
Sam Houston State last beat a Big 12 team back in December of 2006. And a block counted and 1 for Kai Mitchell.
You know, so many of the young guys in college, they rotate late, Rocky. And that's a perfect example of it. You've got to pre-rotate. You see the guy roll, it's too late. He's still trying to get over it. As you see that play developing and you're on the backside, Davis has got to get over there early. And then his weak side fellow defender has to help him. He came over way too late in order to make a play.
Plus, Kendrick Davis was still in the restricted area, so it's an automatic block, even if he was in position.
Yeah, he was late in the wrong spot and couldn't get out from under the basket.
Kendrick Davis on the drive.
Mitchell did a nice job of not fouling, but that's an example of exactly what happened on the other end. Again, no rotation to the weak side to stop that drive right down the baseline.
Delay of game warning handed out to TCU as they batted at the ball after it went through the hoop. So the next one will result in a technical. Given 1 warning, and you get really punished. A pull-up. Josh Delaney to miss, but kept alive. A kick out to Cameron Delaney. And he's way off on the 3.
In order to get back in this game, Sam Houston State, they do it anyway, which is live and die by the 3. They'll literally have to live and die by it just to manufacture enough points, because I don't think they're going to be able to generate enough pace.
Kendrick Davis will head to the line. TCU starting to take control of this one. They're up 12, inside 12 to go. Best percentage chance of winning it. UConn, even though they're the 2 seed, they have the 3rd best odds according to BPI.
You talked about that early, UConn with the 2 seed, but what about teams that weren't there? What about Tennessee or Texas? Hey, those were powerhouse program. Well, Texas is still pretty good. I mean, you're just shaking your head. What are you thinking there?
Showing no love for the West Coast, Lance. That's why I'm shaking my head. No Stanford talk. Oregon. Sabrina Ionescu. And there's a reach-in foul. And it's on Xavier Bryant of Sam Houston State. You just can't forget about us out west.
I mean, that is that. What are you? I mean,
it's an 8 over a 1. We've seen it now a number of times. I remember Cal State Bakersfield a few years ago. As an 8 seed, they made it all the way to New York.
Yeah, that's crazy that Norfolk State went in there and won.
It can be done.
Yeah.
Foul called against Sam Houston State. And it's on Zach Nuttall, his 3rd.
Well, I thought Nuttall was there. Davis was committed to drive.
So they're in the bonus right now again. 5 team fouls will get you into the bonus, and they do it in 10-minute segments here in the NIT. When they get to 10 minutes, it'll reset and go back to 0 for that last segment of the game.
Yeah, and that's one, I'm not in the room making these rules, but you might as well go all the way and just
make it 4 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got to recalibrate it on the fly, if you will. Yeah, just make it 4 quarters. I mean, the women's game, speaking of women, have already done that.
Zach Nuttall, the reverse lay-in, as Sam Houston State has it back to single digits.
TCU does such a great job. Look at the spacing there. I mean, that floor is just wide open, makes it almost impossible to help. And Davis there exploited their ability to look how open that floor is, Roxy. I mean, there's literally no way to help. And then also talk about rules change, the wider lane also impacts it, because you're coming from a further distance to have to get in position to help your teammate.
Kendrick Davis gets the 3-point play. He has 8 points off the bench tonight. And the lead back to 12 as TCU is led by as many as 13 as we have 11 minutes to go in this first round matchup. Out of the Big 12, TCU against the Southland regular season champs, an automatic berth into the NIT for Sam Houston State.
And contrarily, look how crowded and clustered that area is near the baseline. And Sam Houston State ball handlers need a little more space if you're going to drive. TCU just doing a great job of shrinkage of the floor.
Cameron Delaney the miss, but the long rebound tracked down by the Bearcats. Then Kai Mitchell has it stripped, got it back. Cameron Delaney well behind the line, and then keeping it alive, Zach Nuttall with a back tap. Nuttall corner 3. And there's Desmond Bain on the glass, and a foul going for the rebound. And we're going to the other end, says Darren George. It's on Sam Houston State, and the 3rd on R.J. Smith.
That's going to be on number 1, R.J. Smith. That will be his 3rd personal foul.
So free throws, and again, in 21 seconds from now, the fouls will reset. The team fouls back to 0.
Yeah, and it's also to your advantage if you're in the penalty, obviously, because it's just another added way to manufacture points.
One more for Bain. First round action of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship begins tomorrow on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV at noon Eastern. For more information on tournament game times and listings, go to ncaa.com. 13 now for Bain, who leads TCU as the Horned Frogs have 3 in double figures. And they've matched their largest lead of the night. Bubba Furlong goes underneath, stripped by Kevin Samuel. Here comes R.J. Nembhard, and a 2-on-1 from Robinson, and Nembhard finishes.
Yeah, the story of the game, Furlong takes a bad shot, tries to score over Samuel. TCU doing what they do, turning defense into offense.
R.J. Nembhard one more time, the throwdown. TCU is off and running now. Xavier Bryant gets his first points of the game, and Jason Hooten and Sam Houston State called timeout. But TCU opening up.
It's on the board. The other thing is their defense has been so great, and especially in the second half, that they're just manufacturing points through their great defense and turning it into offense with runouts.
Plus, they've been so efficient offensively here in the second half, as TCU is 11 for 14 from the field.
And part of that efficiency is about their spacing. There you saw how Samuel had the ball, but they just do a great job of keeping the floor open.
4th foul on Xavier Bryant. Again, the foul's just reset. So that's the first team foul of this segment against Sam Houston State. And with 9:12 remaining, the Horned Frogs up 15. TCU sharing the ball tonight. Again, 16 assists on 24 field goals. And the Horned Frogs, one of the best passing teams in the country. They're 20th in the country, averaging over 16 assists per game as a team. Also helps when you have Alex Robinson, who's 7th in the country in assists, although he's way short on the 3.
Yeah, and something that Jamie has done a great job, you speak about assists, is really creating an environment and getting players who are willing to share the ball. You know, we talked about Noy a minute ago, not having great scoring numbers of late, but that's not a problem. Other guys step up, and guys seem to be comfortable with that in terms of not playing selfishly.
Last year, TCU was 2nd in the country in assists. And as a club, they averaged 18.5 a game. A little bit down this year, and I think the numbers went down a little bit when Jalen Fisher was no longer playing for TCU. As it gave Jamie Dixon really 2 point guards on the floor at the same time. Kai Mitchell from deep, and a 3. His first 3-pointer of the season, and it comes with the extended line.
Yeah, and only his 4th 3-pointer shot of the season. But they're going to need more than 3s. They've got to figure out a way to create a little pace here. And TCU, with all the good ball handlers on the floor, will be able to eat up a good amount of clock on each possession.
And a bump and a foul. It's the 4th on R.J. Smith. 7:53 remaining. TCU up 12, round 1 of the NIT.
Not allowing them to come off of those screens and get open looks on the offensive end of the floor.
Plus some foul trouble mounting for Sam Houston State. R.J. Smith, R.J. Smith and Xavier Bryant have 4 fouls each. And 3 for Zach Nuttall and 3 for Albert Almanza. Kwat Noy hits a 3. Who's been quiet most of the night. He was just 1 for 8 prior to that shot from the floor, and 0 of 5 from 3.
Yeah, and you look at him, he's laughing. He knows sometimes you just gotta kind of laugh given the rough time he's had trying to score the ball.
You're a shooter. You know it only takes 1 to get you going.
Well, and you can't be, you know, it's actually, in my estimation, a skill to be able to continue to shoot when you've missed so many shots.
Too strong with that one. And a running start for Josh Delaney. To Cameron Delaney. And Kendrick Davis, little guy, pulls down the rebound. Tell you what, I think Kendrick Davis, when he gets to be an upperclassman here at TCU, he's going to be a problem for the rest of the Big 12.
Well, you like the young fella. He did a great job recently against Texas.
Zach Nuttall in transition.
And the experience of getting to play with Robinson will certainly pay dividends as he gets older and takes over, if you will, at this program in terms of his impact of running the offense. See, here's an example of it. Robinson just goes off the ball, and Davis initiates the offense.
9-2 run for the Bearcats, trying to mount a comeback. Underneath the patience, the foul counted, +1, J.D. Miller.
Yeah, and not a whole lot you can do about that. You would hope there's a little more pressure on the perimeter with Robinson when he has the ball. Giving him that much space is just a no-no. We're already aware of how many assists that Robinson has, so if you're not going to pressure him, he's going to find people. That's
where foul on Zach Nuttall.
The perimeter is where you have to put up some resistance or more resistance because the size differential is so great with TCU's bigs versus what Sam Houston State has on their roster.
Tough shot from the baseline. Kai Mitchell now with 20. 1 off a career high. He had 21 earlier this season against Abilene Christian.
Yeah, and he's a junior, so this will loom large for him going forward. Imagine the confidence he has coming into a Big 12 arena and having a lights-out night like tonight.
And you know who his high school coach was?
I know, I do, and I think I'll surprise you. I do my homework. I know his high school coach.
It's kind of a rhetorical question because I knew you knew the answer.
No, yeah.
Willie Worsley from Texas Western in the movie Glory Road. Part of that team for
I knew that.
John Haskins.
Absolutely. We got a little Glory Road in here with University of Texas El Paso. And I actually visited there when Tim Floyd was there back in the day when I was coming out of high school. And on my visit, and there was a guy who also visited, and he said, hey, this guy, he's going to be really good. You two, you can play in the backcourt together here. He can really pass the ball. Chicago kid, he's big time. You know who that guy was?
The author of the Killer Crossover?
Whoa, impressive. That's
Tim
who it was.
Hardaway.
My main man, Tim Hardaway, exactly. Who was on that visit. He ended up going. I ended up going to UVA, coming back to Texas, but just saw him recently there at University of Texas El Paso. But yeah, what a great program and a great player he was. But yeah,
R.J. Smith is fouled out for Sam Houston State. Albert Almanza, rainbow three. His second three tonight.
And they're just not going to go away. They shoot the ball with such freedom.
And this is a veteran team.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to knock them all the way out.
They start 4 fifth-year seniors. As R.J. Nembhard driving in. And how about that finish?
How about that finish? Did you see Nembhard, the young fella, take the ball behind him, take the hit, and then finish? If you blinked, you might have missed it, but this is a next-level finish.
His dad, Ruben, a pretty good player in his own right. Played at Weber State. And went on to the NBA. Played with the Jazz and the Blazers within the NBA for a year. As the redshirt freshman. R.J. Nembhard having a really good game tonight. Well, he missed the free throw. He's got 12 points tonight. The kick out, Desmond Bain. Offensive glass, Kevin Samuel knocked out of bounds. And it goes the other way with the Bearcats. Inside 5 minutes to play. The winner will play either Nebraska or Butler, whoever comes away with the victory in Lincoln, Nebraska tonight. And a foul will send Cameron Delaney to the stripe. Second on Kevin Samuel.
You see Sam Houston State being down 13 here with free throws. If they had it in their arsenal. Was this foul on the floor?
Was on the floor before the shot. As Cameron Delaney was trying to sell it that he was going to the line.
Yeah, so squash what I was going to say.
Cuts down the lane, gets the lay-in.
Yeah, they're unable to press them to get some quick steals and again create pace and try to get back into this game.
First points of the second half for Cameron Delaney, the Southland Player of the Year. Drop off inside, and a flagrant one is called. And that'll give 2 free throws to Kevin Samuel and the ball for TCU. So a flagrant one against Cameron Delaney, his second. And Jason Hooten clearly doesn't agree with the call.
And another time, it would have just been an intentional.
And it's the right call. As Delaney did not make a play on the ball, he just shoved Samuel, and by definition, that is a flagrant one.
Yeah, it looks like he tries to grab him on the right. Oh, no, you're right. Pushed him right in the back.
Samuel gets 1 out of 2. And again, flagrant one means TCU gets possession. J.D. Miller, he'll get to the line.
One of the big differences with Sam Houston State's defense, particularly in this part of the game, versus TCU's, Sam Houston is allowing TCU to get wherever they want to on the floor. And when you force the defense to switch sides of the floor and have to rotate, you can get mismatches and easy looks at the basket. Contrarily, TCU is boxing Sam Houston State up, taking away driving and passing lanes, and it's creating all kinds of problems for their offense.
Over the back, foul on TCU. And they'll get Desmond Bain for number 3. 4:21 to go. It's a 12-point game. Still lots of time. And as we talked about, Sam Houston State, a terrific three-point shooting team. But, Lance, they're going to have to start knocking some down if they're going to come back.
Yeah, they with a lot of efficiency, because if you remember in the early part of the game, when TCU was behind, they used their defense to create pace and get back in the game. Sam Houston State hasn't been able to do that, so everything they're manufacturing offensively is having to come through half-court possessions.
Foul on Bain in the post. Rather, they're getting it on J.D. Miller, his second.
Yeah, they might get a little help if they can get themselves into the bonus. Look for them here, a little predictive measure here. I think they're going to try to go back in and go to the big fella, Kai Mitchell.
Off the inbound, Cameron Delaney. Sam Houston State has only shot 3 free throws tonight. We talked about it. They're an outstanding foul shooting team. 76% as a club. 24th best foul shooting team in the country. Miller underneath. Four TCU players in double figures, led by 15 from number 15, J.D. Miller. That's a deep 2. Count it and 1 for Zach Nuttall. Sam Houston State trying to hang in there. Trying to put Nebraska up late on Butler in Lincoln. And if TCU wins, they will host. As the top seed. Zach Nuttall missing the free throw. And a Sam Houston State club that's great from the line this year is just 1 for 4 from the stripe. Kai Mitchell, a career-high 22 for Mitchell.
Boy, he's just a beautiful scorer within 15 to 18 feet of the basket. Miller can't do anything with Kai down there. He's been a load on the block all night long.
It's an 8-point game. Sam Houston State hanging in there, and a carry on Alex Robinson.
I mean, Sam Houston State is getting into that zone that you want in terms of what they have to do to win. You just want a chance to win against a team that's picked to beat you with under a minute to go on the clock. That's all you can ask for.
And a travel on Josh Delaney.
And finally, they employ a press to create that pace and or turnovers that we were talking about a few minutes ago.
Baseball pass for Kendrick Davis, who runs it down.
How about that speed? Nice job by the young fella, your guy, Davis, not panicking, catching up to that ball and then slowing it down. Not only great speed, but great decision. The clock is the enemy for the opponent right now. You need seconds ticking off the clock if you're TCU.
Inside to Bain. The kick out. Quatnoy. 3! And that possession's a killer for Sam Houston State.
Yeah, it is. And I thought they almost gave up on the possession. They did a great job until has had the moments where he's disappeared. Different guys have stepped up at different times. And especially when you have a balanced attack like that, it's incredibly hard and difficult for a team like Sam Houston State, because where do you go to stop them?
Catch every moment of the 2019 National Invitation Tournament on the ESPN family of networks. For more information, visit NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Kai Mitchell powering inside. Well, it's clear that he's going to be the guy that sets the tone for Jason Hooten and Sam Houston State next year.
Yeah, there's no question, and easily one of the best players on the floor tonight. What a great performance by Kai.
Another double-double, 8 double-doubles now for Mitchell, the junior. The senior laden starting lineup is Alex Robinson. Makes it 5 Horned Frogs in double figures tonight. Mitchell can't get that to go. Desmond Bain the rebound. And now TCU content to try to burn a little clock. Alex Robinson, 11 points, 11 assists. Another double-double. That's 9 for Alex Robinson this year. On a night where he sets the single-season TCU assist record. How about Kendrick Davis down the lane?
Again, credit Davis, but credit the spacing. Again, they do such a great job, TCU, of keeping the floor open. No one coming to help. Almost impossible to stay in front of him as quick as he is with the ball.
1 minute to play. And TCU up 13 with the ball and trying to put this one away. And will turn their attention to round 2 of the NIT. Now they've gotten a taste of it, Lance.
Well, they have, and Sam Houston State has nothing to be ashamed of with their effort and performance coming in here to compete and try to beat, as Robinson gets the finish, compete and try to beat a very good TCU team. But I concur and agree with you 100%. Having the taste now, their competitors, they're going to want to show what they can do. And Coach, and the issue I have with anyone beating Duke, to your point, they have a good team and they have the best talent. So if the team isn't doing well, they have another level they can go to that others just don't have.
I know it was November, but Gonzaga beat Duke over in Maui, and that was without Killian Tilly, who has returned. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, the optimal part of that sentence was, you know it was November. Isn't that Thanksgiving?
Very true. Nice gliding along the baseline from Zach Nuttall. Sam Houston State, frustrating end of their season. Bounced in the semis of the Southland Conference tournament by New Orleans, and then losing in the first round of the NIT, but still a terrific season again for Jason Hooten and Sam Houston State, and it comes to an end tonight at the hands of Jamie Dixon and TCU.
Yeah, it looks like Jamie and his TCU Horned Frogs